Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Pugfish and today I'm going to be showing you some one-wide tileable charcoal generators. Okay, so you may be wondering why charcoal generators are useful as one-wide tileable. Well, the answer is you can make industrial charcoal generation systems, and the reason that's so good is because, well, you can, if you have a really high efficiency tree farm and you need something to catch up with it and provide you with tons upon tons of charcoal, you can set these things up next to it in a tiled situation here. So this is a kind of standard charcoal generator, and it's just a standalone system. You could put them next to each other, but they're not quite as nice as these, as they're smaller and everything. So this one here is a 2x4x4 and has a 32 block like area. So basically, if you added all that up, you would see, and it's basically a traditional kind of design, and this one was designed by Eagle Eye 621. It works pretty well, and yeah, so basically it turns oak logs or any type of logs back into charcoal, and the charcoal ends up in here. Yeah, as you can see, this thing has generated a lot of charcoal, and that one's actually been running the longest, surprisingly. But all of these are basically the main goal of all of these one-wide tileable ones was to, one, make it tileable so that you can put them next to each other, and then number two, obviously one wide, and then number three is of course you want to have good rates. So the thing about one-wide tileable ones is it basically just adds rates no matter the more you build. So that's why I wanted to keep the cost down. Is this one uses 2 furnaces, this one only uses 1, but you could tile 5 or 6 of them together and you'll get 3 times the speed. So actually, let's start on this side here. I want to save the best for last. So this one here was not my design. This one was designed by Golden Delicious on Reddit, and it requires these materials if you want to build it. This is pretty modest for materials. 1 observer, 1 comparator, 1 repeater, a torch, 1 sticky piston, and then kind of the standard couple items. And so the way this one works is it's, of course, smelts the oak log or whatever type of log you have in here. And when it gets smelted, it'll come into here, and this will output something and push it up into here. And then the way this system works is when this is fully filled up, so if we did that right now, it would try to do that, but it would end up down here, and that's how it starts to give you charcoal. And then if say one leaves, it will try to put it in there. As you can see, we filled it up completely. So every time it tries, and if it doesn't, it goes down in here. Okay, so the next one was designed by me, and it's slightly smaller. This one is a 5x5 and 25. This one is a 4x6, which is 24. We shaved off 1 block. And yeah, it's a bit taller, but it is definitely shorter. So the way this one works is very similar to this one. We use a piston here to activate this observer, which will power this dropper here and push stuff up into here. The same type of system applies to this, and basically what happens is this is almost always locked, but since it's on a delay, it's actually going to try to put this up before this is unlocked. But if it can't, like with this system, it'll just go below and into your charcoal storage system. And so the materials for this one is a little bit different. You need a piston, and then instead of, I think, a torch, and it is slightly smaller. But yeah, the materials of these two are very similar. But here comes the really cool one. So this is the smallest charcoal generator, or one-wide tileable charcoal generator to my knowledge, and it is a 4x4, giving us a 16 block footprint. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is insane because it works pretty much all the time. And the materials you need for this are just these right here. This comparator is just to tell me if it's working. So if there's stuff in this hopper here, it is for sure working. Now, the interesting thing about this one is it's a little bit different in terms of these two. This one instead will fill up both of these at the same time. So it will give give some of the charcoal up here and some of the charcoal down here. It does do a bit more down here, which is actually pretty good because one piece of charcoal will generate 8 pieces of charcoal, so it actually evens out pretty quick. So you get pretty much immediate charcoal generation out of this machine. But there is some downsides to having the smallest machine. This one here is directional. So if we look at this, these observers are facing this way, which is north. And from the testing that I have done and a fellow Prototech member, Adam Shadow, has done, we figured out that facing north is the most consistent way this works. So a quick recap on the directions is north and south generally work, north being the favored version, and then east and west don't work at all. So those we have tested multiple times on the same clock, on different clocks. It's basically just north and south, and north being a bit more consistent. So this is actually kind of odd to build, but I think it's actually worth it in the long run. The other downside being it's a little bit loud because you're constantly trying to power this dropper. But if we go ahead and grab, actually I'm just going to use my pick block here, and I were to come over here we're just going to build it right next to it. So the first thing you want to do actually is place in these observers. So it's kind of important the way you place these two observers. Then you place your dropper facing upwards and place your furnace. Get the entire system primed basically, so get everything kind of working past this point, and then you want to do this. So you grab a observer and make sure it's facing up, and then you come down to the bottom one and face it down. But before you do, make sure that is locked, okay, and then facing down. Now these are different as you can see, but I'm just gonna try to, so this is just so we can see if it's working. So if I fill this with, hold on, let me just power this guy. Whoops. There we go. Let me grab this. Okay, and if we put those in there, and then we come into this and put a stack of charcoal. Now you don't have to start with the stack, but this will give us a good understanding to see if it's working quickly. Then we can destroy this, and it will immediately start cooking here. And so what will happen is we gotta fill it up again. Okay, so there's 64 charcoal in there, so nothing should be able to come in. And as you can see, it just come on. So yeah, it works pretty consistently, but it's a little bit odd in the way that you have to build it. So this one came down, sometimes it goes up. But generally, since charcoal smelts 8 items, you don't have to worry about this thing stopping. I haven't experienced it stopping, and I've done many hours of testing with the carpet mod and some testing just without the carpet mod. And it seems that the important part of this is to have the copper locked before you allow items into the furnace to start smelting. Once this clock is running, you can allow items in. And as you can see, it's already starting to store up charcoal here to push back in here. And so the same system applies to this system with these others. Is the charcoal here, once this fills up like that, every piece of charcoal is going to come down in here. So let's just speed up the tick rate so we can see it. And so you see it's going a bit quicker here, but you can see most of them are going in here, but this one does refill itself. Okay, and so if we go back to the normal game speed, we can see what actually happens. But it's the same principles as these other ones. So yeah, it's actually a really cool system. And before I end the video here, I just want to tell you guys that these two people, Adam Shadow and Haph, really helped out in this endeavor of trying to create the smallest charcoal machine possible. And Adam here, he helped me quite a bit with compacting it a little bit after I had taken this design and compacted it. Then he took the design I showed him and compacted it, and we eventually came up with this. So yeah, I'll link both of their links in the description. And yeah, guys, so I will also provide a world download in here if you guys are interested. Basically, all these command blocks do is basically provide the hoppers with a bunch of logs. As you can see, all the logs are getting spawned in. So you can test it for yourself. Those logs will despawn pretty quickly. But yeah, basically, if you guys want to test them yourself or build it yourself, maybe you want to try to compact it even more, I challenge you guys to do that. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys found this video interesting. Hopefully it helped you out in an industrial charcoal machine, because of course I'm going to be building this up eventually, because I do know that I want to use something like it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.